Friend's House is a perfect film. It's perfect.
Poetic realism is a film style that blends realism, everyday life, real location, natural performance, with a lyrical, almost fable like quality. It's not fantasy, it's not surrealism, it's reality, seen through a poetic lens. It's often melancholic, introspective, deeply human. It started in 1930s French cinema but evolved, influencing Italian neorealism, Iranian cinema, and beyond. And one of the greatest modern example, Where is the Friend's House by Abbas Kiarostami.
Is the home of my friend, or the wind will carry us, or any of these pictures, the last section of five, the fifth episode, I think. I found that purity again.
The surface, the film is simple. A young boy, Ahmed, realizes he accidentally took his friend's notebooks. He spends the entire day trying to return it. That's it. But beneath this small act is something much deeper. The film is shot in the real village of Koker, using non-professional actors. The dusty roads, the small homes, the way adults don't really listen to kids. It's all feels lived in, completely natural. This is realism as its core. But Ahmed's journey isn't just about a notebook. It's about kindness, determination, and the way children see the world different from others. Every locked door, every indifferent grown-up. These aren't just obstacles, they represent something bigger.
گاهانه نیست ولی حالا که فیلم ها رو پشت سر هم میبینیم به نظرم میاد که همشون از یه مقوله سخن میگن.
Before Where's the Friend's Home, Kiarostami was already exploring these themes. The bread and ally, a boy and a stray dog suspense in the everyday time, a wandering child loneliness in the city, the traveler, a boy dreams of watching his soccer match at any cost. Each of these films lays the groundwork for Where's the Friend's Home. Realistic setting, child protagonists, moral dilemmas, and quiet but powerful storytelling. Kiarostami's humanistic approach set the stage for Iranian cinema's global recognition.
Kiarostami.
Ce fut la surprise.
We find realism, not just showing life, but making us feel it. Non-professional actors, real location, natural dialogues, long takes, it's almost documentary-like. Ahmed's story is simple but universal. It's about responsibility, empathy, and challenging authority. Not through rebellion but quiet persistence. For Penaim, Majid Mujidi, Nouri Bilji Salan, all influenced by Kiarostami poetic realism.
It didn't look like any film I saw before. It was completely different type of cinema.
The film opens with a static shot of a door. We don't see inside the room yet. Instead, we hear the muffled voices, footsteps, chair moving, and the faint hum of activity. The only visible movement is the door itself. It's broken and never fully closes. Kiarostami immediately makes us interact with the scene differently. If we were inside the classroom from the start, we instantly recognize it is a school setting. But by keeping the camera outside, he forces us to rely on the sound before sight. We have to piece things together, instead of being shown everything outright. Approach achieves two things. Who is talking, what's happening inside? We don't immediately get answers. With nothing else in the frame, we zero in on the broken door. This small mundane detail tells a lot. The school isn't well maintained, possibly underfunded or neglected. When we cut inside, the atmosphere shifts. The room is chaotic, student talking, moving around and not paying attention. The teacher enters and immediately tries to bring order, but the door, still broken, keeps moving, disrupting the lesson. We see the entire space. Instead of cutting to close up, Kiarostami wide shot allows us to take in the student, the desk, the teacher, and the restless door all at once. No single main character yet. A conventional film might zoom in on a protagonist early on, but Kiarostami keeps it observational. The teacher's struggle is visualized. The broken door isn't just strict background detail, it actively disrupts the lesson, mirroring the disorder in the room. One moment, the film precisely cut to the teacher shutting the door. Until now, we have been observing the whole classroom from a distance. Cutting to the teacher near the window subtly guides our focus inwards. The cut aligns us with the teacher's viewpoint by shutting the window. He is trying to regain control. The cut mirrors that. Refocusing our attention. Even a small action like closing a window becomes parts of teacher's struggle for authority. At first, the camera is low, placing us in the student's perspective. As he moves and speaks, the camera gradually shifts up, aligning us with his authority and frustration. The shift reflects the growing tension. While the children see the classroom as chaotic, the teachers see his control slipping away. The teacher asks the student to take out their homework. The class starts settling down. But just as order is restored, a loud noise breaks silence. Someone drops something. As calm returns, the noise disrupted. The cut mirrors the abrupt movement. Instead of focusing on the object, Kristami cuts to the student's reaction, showing how small events ripple through the class. One student gets nervous. Another informs the teacher that someone is absent. The teacher dismisses it and tells them to be quiet. The teacher moves through the room and stops at Nematzadeh. Suddenly a close-up. Till now the film has stayed in wide shots, keeping the classroom environment in focus. Now we move into Nematzadeh's perspective. The close-up isolates him, emphasizing his emotion, nervousness, fear, guilt. This framing directs our attention to his personal experience while maintaining the film's realism. After the teacher reaches Nematzadeh, Kristami cut between their close-up. The back and forth shot create tension. We see Nematzadeh fear and Ahmed concern, emphasizing emotion without exaggeration. Tight framing makes the moment feel intimate, as if we are right there. After the close-ups, Kristami cuts to wide shot. It reminds us this isn't just a private moment. The whole class is watching. This framing makes the teacher 30 loom larger, reinforcing power dynamics. The contrast between close-up and wide shot heightens the tension. Frustrated, the teacher tears a page from Nematzadeh's notebook. The detachment makes the punishment feel colder, more impersonal. The wide shot let the moment play out without over dramatization. After this, the camera cuts to separate shot of both boys. Ahmed's expression shows unease. Nematzadeh is on the verge of tears. No dramatic breakdown, just quiet distress. This framing conveys emotion without melodrama, staying true to Kiarostami naturalism. Then a boy enters the frame, Nematzadeh's cousin. He is late. As he sits down, he realizes he still has Nematzadeh's notebook. The lost notebook, which caused so much tension, was never really lost. The teacher gave it Nematzadeh a final warning. As he forgets his notebooks again, he will be expelled. The moment is brief, but it leaves a lasting impact. The punishment has already been handed out, and there is no undoing it. Kiarostami keeps it understated, letting the quiet realization linger. This scene sets up Ahmed's motivation for the entire film. We understand why he later risks everything to help Nematzadeh, making the film's core theme of empathy and responsibility resonate deeply. We enter a new setting. It feels like someone's home, but whose? Then before we see anything, we hear it. A woman's voice, a baby crying. Kiarostami does this intentionally. Just like the film's opening, where distant children's voices fill the air, he again uses sound before sight to introduce the scene. Ahmed enters the frame. A slow camera pullbacks reveal an old woman and nearby a mother holding a baby. No cuts, just a slow observation movement. The shot lasts about 50 seconds, letting us take in the space, the people, the texture of life. This is Ahmed's house. Cut to a closer shot of Ahmed moving to another room. Now the cut breaks the long take. Ahmed is searching for diapers. In the background, his friends shout, "Come play with us." But if we look closely, there's a mirror in the frame, revealing his face. That's Kiarostami. He doesn't force emotion. No dramatic reaction shot. Instead, it's subtle. A reflection, a quiet detail, adds depth. Cut to another wide shot, slightly adjusted. By now, the space feels familiar. Ahmed's mother tells him to get some hot water from Granny's upstairs. A long take, about 30 seconds. It's not just about the dialogue, it's about watching, observing, feeling the natural flow of life. Cut to extreme wide shot. So suddenly we see the full location. This is where Kiarostami steps back. He is showing us the space, giving us a sense of geography before the story moves forward. He is not just following Ahmed, he is placing Ahmed within a world. To a kid studying. Notice the continuity. The shot remains visually similar to earlier ones. The rhythm is steady. The kid asks Ahmed, "Will you come play?" Ahmed says, "I'll do my homework first." It's a small moment, but it reinforces Ahmed's sense of responsibility, duty over play, a theme that will define the rest of the film. To a wide shot, Ahmed steps outside, hands the bottle to his mother, then walks away to do his homework. The camera lingers. The shot runs for 1 minute and 10 seconds. Kiarostami lets time unfold naturally. No rush, no force cut. Cut to Ahmed's mother washing clothes, then cut to Ahmed. This time the frame is tighter, closer. Ahmed flips through the notebook, and then that pause, that realization. It's not his notebook, it's Namtazade. The camera stays, no dramatic zoom, no sudden music cue, just a quiet moment of recognition. From this point on, Kiarostami shift. We have seen mostly wide shot before, but now for Ahmed seems the shot becomes closer, more intimate. Because now it's no longer about space, it's about what Ahmed feels. Ahmed begs his mother to let him return the notebook again and again. She doesn't listen. She thinks he's making excuses. She tells him to stop wasting time. But then she finally sends him to get bread. Ahmed sees his chance. He takes the notebook, and with that, Arc 1 ends. The setup is complete. Ahmed has realized his problem. He knows what he needs to do. Now Arc 2 begins his journey to return the notebook. Why does Kiarostami's storytelling feel so natural? It's because he doesn't explain. He shows. Instead of dumping information through dialogues, he let us observe, piece things together, and arrive at conclusion ourselves. Let's break down how he does this in With the Friend's Home. Ahmed runs through the narrow street, urgency in his every step. He is focused in mind with a single goal, to find Ahmed's other house and return the notebook. There is a sense of time running out. The film keeps up with him in the moment of stress and panic. He stopped to ask a man where Ahmed's other house is, but Kiarostami does something interesting. He doesn't show the man's face at first. Instead, we hear Ahmed's voice asking the question, and we see his anxious body language. We are placed directly in Ahmed's shoes, sharing his frustration and sense of urgency. Ahmed is speaking to someone off frame, reinforcing the idea that this struggle is his own. We don't get any immediate resolution. Instead, the film builds tension by holding information. When the man's face is finally revealed, we notice something. He is carrying a heavy load. His posture, his slow movements. This guy has problems of his own. The man doesn't speak much. He barely reacts to Ahmed's emergency. His slow, deliberate movement as he shifts the weight of the load on his shoulders suggests that he has his own concerns, perhaps even more pressing than Ahmed's search. Ahmed's issue feels urgent to him, but to this man, it's just another passing question in a life full of bigger concerns. It's a subtle yet effective way of showing how different people navigate their own burden, and it deepens the sense of isolation Ahmed feels. Ahmed keeps running, waving through the street, asking anyone who will listen, but no one pays it much attention. Everyone is caught up in their own world. The adults are absorbed in their routines, indifferent to Ahmed's pleas. They are far removed from his young, youthful urgency. Then he spots Murtaza, a classmate, struggling with a heavy bucket. Murtaza seems like someone Ahmed can rely on, but he is also burdened with his own challenges. And suddenly something clicks. Earlier in the classroom, Murtaza had complained about his back hurting. Now, as we watch him struggle with the bucket, we understand why. Murtaza has been carrying that weight all day. Kiarostami doesn't need to flash back or explain it through dialogue. We piece the information together on our own. The director trusts the audience's ability to connect the dots without explicitly stating things. As Murtaza battles with the kid, Ahmed urgently asks about Nemetzade's house. Murtaza, who seems more grounded in the moment, gives him direction, but again the information isn't direct. He mentioned Nemetzade's cousin's house. This cue adds complexity to the research, suggesting that there's more to the situation than Ahmed knows. Murtaza doesn't provide a direct answer, he simply offers a lead, making it clear that the situation is more complicated than Ahmed realizes. This moment does not tell us everything, it offers a glimpse. Nemetzade's life is connected to the others in a way that Ahmed, in his rush, hasn't even begun to understand. Kiarostami techniques here is vital. We aren't just told what's happening, we experience it with Ahmed, interpreting his world and the people in it. The exposition unfolds through the action, not words. By now, it is clear that Ahmed's research is not just about finding a physical address, it's a journey of understanding the complicated relationship and lives that surrounded him. We, as the audience, start to see how Ahmed's actions, seemingly simple, are part of a larger, more intricate network of lives and stories. Kiarostami's decision to let us see these small details unfold without explicit explanation makes us active participant in the film, encouraging us to interpret the world alongside Ahmed. What is exposition? Exposition is how a filmmaker provides essential background information about characters, setting, or plot. It's the information we need to understand the story context without slowing down the narrative. It can be done through dialogue, visual, or action, sometimes all at once. The best exposition is subtle. It doesn't feel like the film is stopping to explain something. It moves into a fabric of narrative, guiding the audience without overwhelming them. How Kiarostami uses exposition in ways the friends home. Visual storytelling over dialogue. Instead of telling us directly, Kiarostami lets small detail reveal information. Earlier after school Zade falls, and Ahmed notices his pen. Later when Ahmed mistakenly enters a home, he sees the same pens. That's why Ahmed assumed that this is Zade's home. Without a single word of explanation, it's through these subtle visual clues that we begin to understand the relationship and motivation of the characters. The film doesn't need to tell us explicitly. Each scene adds layers, building the world piece by piece. Ahmed's confusion tells us how little he knows about Zade's life. The mistaken assumption about the house shows that Ahmed is still learning about the world around him. The film never states this outright. It expects the audience to figure it out. Ahmed's innocence and inexperience are shown not through dialogue, but through his action and his misunderstanding. Kiarostami treats us as an active participant, not passive viewers. Instead of being spoon-fed information, he must pay attention to the details, filling in the gap ourselves. This scene highlights a key theme: childhood misunderstanding. Ahmed is doing his best, but he doesn't have all the information, just like the children in real life. They act on incomplete knowledge, and their action often reflect their limited understanding of the world around them. It also mirrors how adult in the film dismisses Ahmed's concern, making his journey feel even more isolating. The adults have their own preoccupation, leaving Ahmed to navigate the world alone. Ahmed moves through the village, running against time. The sun is setting, and his determination to find Zade intensifies. His world is filled with obstacles, people too busy with their own concerns, street that leads nowhere, and door that remains closed. Ahmed then come across two carpenters. One continues to make wooden doors, sticking to tradition. The other crafts iron doors, stronger, modern, industrial. The transition is happening before Ahmed's eyes. The world is changing and people are replacing the old with the new. This moment mirrors the larger theme of creation versus progress. The wooden doors represent the past craftsmanship and human touch, while the iron doors signifies a new era, one that is colder, impersonal, and perhaps forgiving. Much like Ahmed, who is fighting to do what he believes is right, in a world that doesn't seem to care, the wooden door carpenter will continue his work, despite the shift towards iron. Ahmed eventually meets an elderly man willing to help him find Zade, but while Ahmed is fast, tense, and desperate, the old man moves slowly. Limited by age and habit, this contrast highlights the tension between generations, the urgency of youth versus the steady rhythm of the old. The old man also makes doors, tying him to the carpenter's seen earlier. But just like the wooden doors being replaced, he too belongs to a world that's slowly fading. Ahmed fails. He couldn't find Zade. He returns home heartbroken. We see his father, a figure of authority, discipline, and rigid expectation. Ahmed's sadness is mixed with fear. Though Kiarostami never show physical punishment, the implied consequences are enough to create tensions. The absence of direct violence makes the fear more powerful. It lingers in the air, unspoken, yet deeply felt. Ahmed exhausts sit down to do his homework and then the doors open. This is how Kiarostami ends Ahmed arc. The opening door mirrors the earlier broken door, but now instead of a physical object, it is a symbolic gesture. Is it his father, his mother? Does this signal punishment, relief, a new beginning? Just as doors in the village are changing from wood to iron, Ahmed himself has changed. His journey filled with effort, struggle, and quiet defeat ends with a simple yet ambiguous moment. The door opening could mean anything, and that is precisely Kiarostami's genius. He doesn't impose an answer, he invites the audience to reflect.